We were marking my sister's birthday at an elegant restaurant in downtown Austin, the kind of place where everything sparkled under soft lighting. The walls shone, the glassware glinted, and even the patrons wore carefully crafted smiles. As though perfection were part of the dress code, Snorts, it felt like a formal celebration had been dropped into the dining room without warning. Men in tailored suits, women balancing on heels, sequin dresses catching the light nothing was understated. The room hummed with overlapping conversations, bursts of laughter, and the steady pouring of wine. Beside me sat my husband, Michael. He was steady and reserved, a quiet contrast to the animated chaos surrounding us. He didn't demand attention. He never had to. His posture was straight, his manner thoughtful, offering courteous smiles and brief remarks when appropriate. Next to my sister's loud, expressive friends and their exaggerated stories, he blended into the background almost completely, and for reasons I still struggle to explain. That subtlety stirred something reckless in me. I felt an urge to provoke him, to push just enough to see emotion crack through his calm surface. I wanted proof that he could be loud, bold, reactive, the sort of passion these gatherings seemed to reward. I had no understanding then of how deeply I would come to regret that impulse. Everything unraveled when the discussion drifted toward romance and effort in relationships. One of my sister's friends, newly engaged, launched into a glowing monologue about her fiancé, describing him like a storybook hero. Weekend getaways every month, spontaneous surprises, handwritten notes, long massages, bouquets sent to her. Office. Other couples chimed in, laughing and teasing, trading stories about thoughtful gestures and romantic wins. Then someone asked, "So who's the most romantic guy here?" She squealed, pointing dramatically at her fiancé in the table. Burst into applause. Moments later, though I can't even recall who, it was my turn to be singled out. A playful smile aimed my way as someone asked, "And how's your husband doing when it comes to keeping you happy?" It was meant to be harmless. I could have smiled politely and said, "He's wonderful," and let the moment pass. Instead, a mix of pride, insecurity, and pure foolishness took control. I lifted my wine glass, smirked, and announced loudly enough for the entire table to hear, honestly, "I think I might need a different husband." Laughter followed, but it wasn't genuine. It was thin and uncomfortable, the kind people offer when they're unsure whether a joke crossed a line. I noticed the tension, but chose to ignore it. Instead, I doubled down. I nudged Michael's shoulder and added, "Seriously, if anyone knows a man who listens and actually takes initiative, send him my way." My sister's face tightened immediately. She knew I'd gone too far. Her fiancé avoided eye contact. One friend pressed her lips together, clearly uneasy, and Michael, he didn't react the way I expected. He didn't glare or snap. He simply looked at me with a level of cold detachment I had never witnessed before. The table fell into an oppressive silence. Slowly, deliberately, he placed his fork down. Every movement was controlled, almost ritualistic. He wiped his hands, carefully folded the napkin, and set it aside. When he spoke, his voice was low and even, but sharper than anything I'd ever heard from him. "Well," he said calmly, "if you're accepting applications, I'm happy to clear the position." Tonight, it felt as though all the air had been sucked from the room. The clinking of silverware, the hum of nearby conversations, even the background music vanished. The stillness was absolute, but he wasn't finished. Leaning back slightly, his gaze fixed on me, he continued with chilling precision. "You joke about needing someone new. Maybe you should think about why your husband stopped trying in the first place." A quiet gasp came from across the table. My pulse thundered in my ears. His words weren't raised, but they landed with brutal force. "You've spent years mocking, belittling, turning everything into entertainment," he said. "Eventually, people stop wanting to play along." He paused just long enough for the weight of that truth to settle before continuing. "If you find disrespect amusing, it's no surprise you're searching for replacements. You don't know how to appreciate what you already have." I tried to speak. My voice wavered. "Michael, He lifted one hand, a small motion that instantly shut me down. "No, don't," he said quietly. "That wasn't a joke. You meant it enough to say it in front of everyone. Took a calm sip of water and added with terrifying composure, "You've embarrassed me before. But tonight, you embarrassed yourself far more than you understand." My sister turned pale. Someone whispered, "Wow." Even the waiter froze mid-step, pretending not to notice. And I sat there, drained of color, realizing I had never seen Michael like this, not once. He wasn't furious. He was finished. Understanding hit me like a stone dropping into my stomach. He stood without drama. No raised voice, no sudden movements. He straightened his jacket, placed his napkin neatly beside the plate, and looked at me with unmistakable finality. "You want a new husband?" he said softly. "Good. After tonight, you won't need to pretend anymore." My throat tightened. "Michael, please." He didn't fully turn toward me. "That's always the problem," he replied. "You only say please after the damage is done." Then he walked away. No shouting, no spectacle, just a quiet, devastating departure. For nearly a full minute, no one spoke. My sister stared at me, stunned. Her fiancé muttered under his breath, "Damn, he really meant that." Someone else whispered, "Why would you ever say something like that to him?" I shrank back in my chair, heat burning across my face as the reality of my words settled in. I had ridiculed the one person who had never abandoned me, the man who had supported me through everything. I had turned him into a punchline and he refused to keep laughing. The sounds of the restaurant gradually returned, but the shame only intensified. It pressed down on me, heavy and relentless. Michael's calm, deliberate words weren't just a response. They weren't a moment of anger. They were the end. And I had caused it with careless, thoughtless cruelty.